you guys are all here. All right, Michelle, kick us off.
All right, welcome. All of you are joining us from all over the world, and we're pretty excited because one of the things, well, all over the United States, let's just say, but one of the things that when we started talking about having a virtual workshop, we both said, you know, let's just throw it out there. Maybe 20, 25 people will be interested, and you know, they'll join us, and we'll get a good roundtable conversation going because everyone needs to vent about fundraising right now, right? And so, needless to say, 24 hours later, we have 120 people registered for today's webinar. So obviously, it's a hot topic, Darren.
Definitely is. Virtual events. What is a virtual event, Michelle? I think a lot of questions. I've sent emails out when we were doing this in particular one, and one of the clients that I work with said, "No, we're good. We're thinking about doing that silent auction and putting it online." So that's their definition of virtual events. So we're going to get into that today and talk about kind of what that looks like. Just a little bit of what it is, how to do it. I definitely want to start this conversation off correctly. Michelle and I are definitely not the experts on virtual events. If you're looking for all of the answers from the two of us, it's probably not going to happen. I've seen so many people post about, you know, that they're experts in this category. I'm betting 3 weeks ago, most of them had never even talked about virtual events, but there's a lot of people out there claiming to be the experts. We are not that, but we do know that virtual events is a thing. It's coming. It can happen. Michelle and I were torn on how to get this thing started, our conference started today. And I've had, in the last 3 days, I've had more conversations with people that are scared to death. Their event is coming up next week. Maybe it was last week, and they have no idea what to do. These nonprofits are so reliant on the funds that they raise from events, and they're like, what do I do? Do I cancel it? Definitely don't cancel it. What I can assure you today, in this time, in this place, virtual events can happen. Is it easy? No, nothing is easy, but it can happen. It can happen quickly. On this phone call, there's a lot of fundraisers. The best part about this phone call, there's probably 8 or 9 of my really good friends that are professional auctioneers. We talk daily across the United States because we're all stuck at home. We have nothing else to do. So we talk daily and we share ideas. We share synergy. Professional auctioneers across the United States are working their butts off to figure out how to make this happen and help you continue raising money. That's why you bring us on. Michelle, you'd like to jump in and add on that?
I do, and I want to just kind of preface by saying, in case you don't know who we are.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know, small detail. I'm Michelle Gilmore. I am currently the Senior Director of Development for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and I have been a fundraiser for about 20 years plus in different roles. And my friend Darren, tell us about what you do, sir.
I'm a benefit auctioneer, and I said, like a few of my friends on here, oftentimes we have the opportunity to be the face, the brand, the image for nonprofits, and we just try to help you raise money for the things that you do. We're just that voice of excitement, encouragement, and energy that makes everything about live events good. And we are all really hoping that this virtual event doesn't take everything away from auctioneers. We need you, you need us. It's a win-win situation, so we want to give you some solutions so we can work together. Because we definitely want the live event to come back.
Yeah, so Darren, how did we start this conversation recently when we said, wow, what are we going to do? I mean, Darren, how many events did you get canceled?
For March, April, May, we had 17 events on our calendar reschedule. So all my friends, my auctioneer friends, we kind of were like, all right, what are we going to do? We're all panicking. But the good thing is a lot of them are rescheduling. Then virtual events started coming up. And remember, virtual events aren't new. For those of you that are my age or maybe even older and even younger because you watch the reruns, Jerry Lewis has been doing telethons for years. He raised $2.5 billion doing telethons. What is that? That's basically a virtual event. Although we have so much technology now that makes that so much easier. We can do a telethon, we can do phone-ins, we can do text to give. There's so many pieces of technology. I mean, look at us right here. What are we up to? 82 callers, 82 individuals on this call. This would be a hard format to do a virtual event in, but it still can be done. Technology is there. It's not crazy expensive, and it's super responsive and quick to do. We had a client, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna talk about that client a little bit. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was just going to say that at the beginning of this year, we hosted an Eventology workshop, and that's what we do. Darren and I host workshops about events, how to make them better, how to make them more profitable. That's kind of what we've been doing. And you know, we got started because I hired him to be our auctioneer for an event. And then we started working together on a few different events, and we realized that we had some things that we really agreed on and some things that we didn't agree on as much. So it's kind of been fun to see that dynamic. And then we ended up writing a book together on events and how to maximize each part of your event, from sponsorship to in-kind donations to silent auction, live auction, and the like. Anyway, here we are today, but a month ago, almost just over a month ago, we hosted a workshop and we said, wow, we're in the 20s. We're back in the wild, wild west in the 20s. We have an opportunity to relive the roaring 20s, and we need to be bold. We need to be brave. And we did not see this coming. Right, Darren?
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely didn't see this coming. I don't think any of us did. Definitely not to this level. But you know, nothing changed because you still have nonprofits. Your clients, you know, you can't just pause fundraising because this happened. Your constituents, the donors you serve, the clients you serve, the organizations you run, whether it's Boys and Girls Club, it's a food pantry, it's a cancer resource center. Those people are still relying on you. They're still going to get cancer. They're still going to be hungry. Now even more so because they can't find food and toilet paper. But you still need to serve your clients. So don't pause fundraising. Just take this as an opportunity to learn something new. And you all can, because how many of you are just learning how to use Zoom? This is technology that you're like, nah, I don't need that. I'm just going to use my phone. Here we are. We're all back on our laptops, our desktop computers. Not many people are even calling in from their phone because they're using their computers again. And when you did it, you had to download new apps because your computer was so outdated, it wouldn't work with the latest version of Zoom. This thing's happened. I've spent 3 days teaching my mom how to do a Zoom call, and she still hasn't figured it out. I've got some relatives on here that can reach out and tell her about it. I talked about her. But this is your chance. Here's your opportunity. Your clients still need you. So don't pause fundraising. Let's just help you, give you some solutions to keep doing it. And don't wait.
So speaking of that, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to cover 4 or 5 topics around virtual events, and we're going to try to give you something to walk away with from this that you can use in the next days, weeks, months, even maybe next year if that's going to be a thing. Because this is a hot topic, as you know. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 100 people coming to this. And there are 83 of you out there wanting some information and want some answers, and we want to help you. Also, I love using you as a resource for each other. And so one of the things that we do at all of our workshops is we kick it off with pain points. What is your pain point? So if you take a minute to type into the chat down below, I want everybody to take a minute and even just pick one. I know you have more besides the trying to share a house full of family members and 4 computers or 2 computers.
Yeah, keep the pain point to fundraising, please.
Maybe a fundraising.
Not how do I get a faster internet connection?
That's right. Take a minute to type in the chat box down below. And if you look at the bottom bar and you see chat, click in there and then type in one of your pain points that you're having, because Darren and I, even when we do a live workshop, we want to have it be a conversation. We want it to be a roundtable, because our best ideas often come from you guys, and hopefully you'll get some ideas from us, and we can all leave with something today. I see some coming in. Awesome. So Darren, I'm going to kick it off with a question for you. Are you ready for a question from me?
Bring it.
So in conversations and on Facebook and on LinkedIn, you know, this is a hot topic. Everyone's saying, oh my gosh, what the heck are we going to do? We just canceled an event that is scheduled for March 25th. What should we do? What's an answer that you have for that person? Because that happened to me.
March 25th, that was 2 days ago. So that's good. It was a good Wednesday night event, those are actually kind of fun and exciting, doing weekday events. But right now is a perfect time to not cancel it. Go virtual. You can do the event. A virtual event is using a local studio. Maybe you're a school or gymnasium, you have a facility. We're doing a live in-person telethon with very few people. So on this phone call, as I mentioned, and I'll probably mention again, because I keep seeing more and more of my fundraising benefit auctioneers join in, we can help you through this process. We can be your MC at your event in talking about sharing your mission and sharing it. It can happen. A good friend of mine, Scott Robertson out of Florida, just did a live event. He had a client had to reschedule. They sold all their tickets. They had all their sponsorships, had to reschedule. They did a virtual event on a Tuesday night. Most of you are thinking, why would we do an event on a Tuesday night? Everybody loves Saturdays. You know, I'm stuck at home. I'm free on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, I might have plans, but I'm at home most nights. So what a great opportunity to kick off that virtual event and be the first. Don't be afraid. It can happen. Your donors, your people, your tribe, they love what you do. They will support you. Do not pause your fundraising. It can happen. Get some help, reach out. It's not crazy expensive. You'll spend less doing a studio, bringing an auctioneer in, doing a studio. If you go to a studio, they have the lights, they have the cameras, they have everything you need to host your event. Bring in a few people, do some pre-recorded. We're happy to have the conversation after this call, because I don't know how many questions we're going to get to, but we're definitely going to try. But we're happy to continue that conversation, help walk you through the process. It can be done, and really it can be done within about a week, maybe two, of proper planning. And you can keep all your donors. You can keep one of my friend Scott that did his event. They kept all their ticket sales. They offered everybody the refund because that's the right thing to do. Even with your sponsors, offer them the refund. But most of them said, absolutely not. We'd love to help you. We want to continue to support you. So it can happen. It has been done. So don't think that just because it hasn't been done in your market or your area that it can't be done. It can be done. There's a lot of people out there that have been doing, there's a lot of software companies that have been doing virtual 5Ks for years. It's not new. Just find those partners and pair up with them because they have the experience and the expertise, and let us help you guide you through it. But don't be afraid because it can be done, and you'll raise a lot of money and you don't have to give them the rubber chicken.
Okay, that brings up, well, you covered a lot of little tidbits, and I want to kind of backtrack to a few of the things that you pointed out, and we'll talk about technology in a little while. And also, I want to make sure that everyone understands too, if you just joined us, because I see there's some new faces, or I should say some new icons, to add your pain point to the chat. We're going to go ahead and do a question and answer in a little bit here. And I want everyone to have whatever their biggest pain point in fundraising in that chat so we can address it. Also, at the end of the hour, we are going to do a little fun opportunity. So stick around, and if you miss it, we will have a recorded version available for you to send to you later. Okay, so that's just a little side note. So Darren, something that you said about a virtual event, I think what I hear you saying mostly is about a gala, because I know you're an auctioneer and you're doing galas. What are some opportunities if it's not a gala? What if I was just about to have a golf tournament at the end of May? What if I'm going to have a huge 5K walk that usually brings in $200,000, $500,000? What should I do?
You know, there's a lot of people that are still trying to get out of the house, and that's one thing we're allowed to do is get out of the house and walk. So tying that into a virtual 5K is a huge win. And there's several opportunities and business partners you can pair up with that have the technology. But don't just go to the one that's easy because it's already in your database. Look hard at the companies that are doing this, because there's some companies that do a great job at creating the event, the excitement, the peer-to-peer fundraising. That's huge. And if you can get this message out, you can sell groups, you can sell tables, you can sell your sponsors, virtual 5Ks, virtual runs, virtual golf tournaments. We're stuck at home. I think in California, we're stuck for another 8, maybe 12 weeks. We're going to be here before we get to go out and play. So we need something to do. Don't be bold, make the decision. Let's just do it. Did I miss any, Michelle? I know there's so many opportunities. You can do cornhole tournaments. You can do so many different things. I've seen virtual fundraising, piano bar concerts, where you hire a piano guy to sit there and play to your donor base. I watched one last night for an hour online. It's a friend of mine that does doing piano, and they just Venmo the money. And he even offered up. He's like, I'll work for any nonprofit. Send it out to your donor base. I'll play the songs at their request, and they can make donations to your Venmo account. There are so many different fun options you can do. People still need to get together. Great.
You brought up something that you said we can still walk. So if I was going to have a 5K or a 10K, how can I do that? What do you mean by that?
Well, through virtual 5Ks, virtual runs, virtual races, there are software programs where you send out the invitation. Jennifer, I think I see you're still on the call with us at Michelle's place. They're doing one right now. I think they just launched yesterday. They launched their virtual 5K. They're selling t-shirt sponsors. They're selling tickets. They're putting everything together, and you just see everybody kind of joining in online, but they're still getting sponsors. They're getting individual runs, and then they have a set day that they're going to host the race. And we'll see what hasn't happened yet. So I can't walk and give you the results on it because the event hasn't happened yet, but it's coming up quickly. Yesterday, they were just looking for t-shirt sponsors, and people are jumping on. They're signing up in teams and making the donation. They're a cancer resource center, and they still have patients that need to come through the door every day to get resources and answers, and they want to be there for them.
Got it. And so virtual platforms are not new, right? We know there are peer-to-peer fundraising platforms, there are crowdfunding. Everyone's used to having that in a virtual space. One thing that we're a little nervous about when we think about a virtual event, and especially replacing a gala or a ladies' luncheon or some kind of gathering where it's a little bit more of a dinner dance theme, how do we do that? How are we going to host a live auction with an online format? And how is our donor base, who are precious donors that are a little older than, let's say, 60 even, because those are the donors, to be honest, that write the bigger checks. How are we going to make sure that we are including them, and how are we going to get that technology in their hands?
Scott, who just did a one on Tuesday or Wednesday night, they used a YouTube video or a YouTube link. The value of the YouTube thing is it wasn't something you had to sign up for. There's been virtual events done on Facebook Live, private Facebook groups. Not everybody's on Facebook. And the other challenge is not everybody, their speed's quick enough, but going on to a YouTube channel and broadcasting your event there, it's super simple to do. Now they had to pair that event with kind of a second piece of technology to do the bidding. I don't remember what bid platform they used for that event, but you had your mobile event, so you can do that. They didn't host the auction in a traditional way where there was 5 items and each item was a live bid. Because with the virtual event, sometimes there's a latency issue or a time delay, and that makes it a little bit challenging. So he was really creative and did it in kind of lots. So they had 2 or 3 items, and he closed them every 5 and 10 minutes to kind of make that happen. It was a huge win for him. Definitely, I don't think that he raised the money that they would have raised if they had a live event, but their cost, because they got their deposit, I think they got their deposit waived for next year's event, so the venue didn't lose the business. Their food caterer didn't lose the business. They're coming back next year. So all those things were waived. So their costs were very minimal to host the event. They didn't pay for all that food, and they kept all the ticket money and the sponsor money, served the mission, and raised a lot of money in a high energy, very quick virtual event. Virtual events can't last for an hour and a half. You've got about a 20 to 45 minute window, according to a few of my friends that have done this. And you start to see people dropping off the call. It's quick. It's about your mission. Tell your story and ask for the donations and explain how you're going to use it.
Got it.
Hey, and Darren, this is Scott.
Hey, Scott, how you doing, bud?
Great. Actually, we raised just a smidgen more than we did the previous year. We did 228 in 2019 in a live format, and we did 230 this year.
Oh, that's awesome,
in the virtual format. So, I mean, that's 100% if you ask me.
Yeah, it is definitely, Scott. That's huge. Thanks for sharing. So, Scott Robertson's a benefit auctioneer out of Florida, and he was kind of, if not the first, one of the first to kind of do this and break in to do the virtual event. He just did it on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and he did a great job. It was a lot of fun. And Scott, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Scott, that's awesome news, and that gives us all hope.
That's it.
Right? And we need your phone number, obviously, Scott. So one thing that I'm seeing on the chat, and actually I have this in my notes too, how about let's determine when to cancel an event, because we have, a lot of us have events that are scheduled in the fall, and there's so much unknown right now. We don't know what to expect tomorrow. So in California, we're on lockdown. Colorado got locked down yesterday. I think Arizona's on the hook next. I know New York is 100% on lockdown. So it's hard from obviously from a global perspective to predict what's going on at all. None of us can, for sure. And we kind of have to make the best of what we have right now. But we have contracts, right, with hotels that might be in October, November. So one of the questions that I think comes up a lot is like, gosh, when do we pull the trigger on converting our event that's even in the fall to a virtual event. Darren, what do you say to the people that are kind of struggling with that?
Yeah, there's events that have canceled, obviously, for April and May. We talked to a client yesterday that's has an event in September, and they're trying to decide, do they cancel the event, postpone the event, do they go virtual or live? So those conversations are being held. Michelle and I were talking a little bit this morning, and I feel, and I'd love to maybe even get a few other my fundraising friends to kind of weigh in on this. There's an opportunity. If we don't pause our fundraising and we just do it now and we get it out there, people are home. You have their attention. I mean, look, we've got 90 of you on this phone call today. Any day during the regular work week, that wouldn't happen. You guys all have other things to be doing, but we're stuck at home. Your donors are stuck at home and they still care. They still love you. Pull the trigger, do that virtual event, get it started, and keep your funding rolling so you can continue to serve your mission. Don't wait until everybody else does it again. Get out there quickly. Scott, do you have an opinion on that?
Absolutely. I think that if you postpone your event till fall, are you still going to have your spring event? I think you're going to miss a whole giving cycle. And one thing that I learned, because I'm as old, well, I'm not quite as old as Gary Corbett. Hey, Gary. But I remember the recession, right? And our events were down, but the people that won were the people that kept on going and stayed in front. The people that said, oh, we're going to hold back because we don't want to put our people in an uncomfortable situation. In hindsight, they lost, because not only did they lose that year of fundraising, they also lost their opportunity to put their mission in front of the people. Don't delay. Do it virtual today. That's trademarked, by the way.
Yeah. Did you just trademark that? That's great.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty catchy. I'd stick to it. So on that note, and I agree that there are cycles and seasons of fundraising. And being in a large organization, we definitely have a spring fundraising season and a fall fundraising season. And if we push all of our spring to the fall, then you're right, absolutely right. We get off cycle. That means we're really only going to bring in half the revenue we would have this year in that situation. So I guess one thing that comes to mind is that there's a lot of sensitivity right now. I mean, are we comfortable as fundraisers sending out an email that says donate here and help our cause when there are so many people hurting, right? We have restaurants that are 100% out of business. Our local businesses are hurting and shutting their doors. We have all of this need, and is it appropriate for us as a nonprofit to still make an ask? So Darren, can you speak to that? And then I want to actually come back to it.
I'd like to open that up. I'd like to hear somebody else's opinion on it. They've been hearing from us. If you've got something to say, unmute your microphone. If it gets crazy, we'll mute everybody again. But I'd like to hear somebody speak up to that.
Hey, Darren, this is Suzanne.
Hey, Suzanne.
I think now more than ever, it's important for organizations to get their mission out. People understand now more than ever that nonprofits need help, and people still appreciate being needed and being asked. And right now is a beautiful opportunity to really speak to your mission and steward those donors in creative ways. Not just a button, donate it now on your website, but whether it's a virtual event, which is bigger, but you can do smaller things that can still be engaging because people are online all the time now because we're home. So this is a great opportunity to get creative and to still get your mission out there, still let people know and be very transparent about your needs and what's going on, because everybody's in the same boat. Yes, the financial worry for everyone is there, but people are caring and giving, sometimes even more so during times like this. So it would behoove any organization to not use this as a way to collectively get that empathy going and get people to support your mission in more creative ways rather than just push a button and donate.
Suzanne, I absolutely love that and agree. And who out there has done something like this? Who is using this opportunity to give your donors and your audience or your financial contributors something creative. Who has a way that they've been reaching out either on social media or via email? Chime in here.
Wow, silence. That doesn't happen often.
It's Leanne over at CSF. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Leanne, how are
Yeah.
you?
I just worked out, so my thing is not on because I look awful. So what we've been doing, so I'm with Coronado Schools Foundation, and we have looked at this as really an opportunity to truly give back to the community that has supported us for so long. So we have a telethon that we had to cancel in person that was supposed to happen on March 18th, but we have decided to do it completely virtually in about a month or so. And so what we've been doing is all of our business partners, most of which are local, we have been running a Facebook Facebook campaign and Instagram campaign to support them. So like Blue Bridge Hospitality, which what Michelle just said, struggling with, people not being able to eat in their restaurants. We reached out to each of those business partners and said, hey, what would you like us to share with the community right now? So we've been listing those daily on our feed. And then we also started a campaign called Boredom Busters for kids. And so every day we're posting a boredom buster. So I'm still struggling on the side of when is the right time to make the ask. We are lucky just in our giving cycle that we do have a bit of time because we fund the next year. So we're okay. We're still kind of collecting those funds to then give over to the school for the next year. But for right now, we're just kind of pausing and really trying to give back to the community with little things like that.
Thank you very much for sharing. That's awesome.
Yeah, Leanne, that's great. And I've been seeing those and I think they're excellent, spot on. And then here's another idea. We just, at Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, we were supposed to have a ladies' luncheon this last Thursday, the 26th, and we had to postpone it, and we don't have a date yet. We haven't given our donors and our guests a hard date because we're a little afraid to put something on the calendar and then reschedule it again. So,
Michelle, you guys canceled all fundraising for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, so we have a hard pause on all fundraising as an organization through June 30th as of yesterday. That was just announced, which is interesting. That encompasses the whole organization. There are 70 chapters of Cystic Fibrosis Foundation around. But one of the things that we did is we took an opportunity on the day of the luncheon. We sent an email to everybody, and this was my boss's, Jamie's idea, Jamie Weisberg. She's awesome. She put together the idea to create a video of photos from the last 4 years events. And we put together a little video in Canva with music. It was only 30 seconds. And then we sent it to everybody and said, even though we can't be together, we're thinking of you all and we're really looking forward to postponing the event and letting you know when we'll be together again. And so it was just a good feel-good moment. We put it on social media also, and people really responded well to it.
Awesome. Michelle, we've got a question. Jamie Flores, if you want to unmute yourself, I see you've got a question.
Hey, Darren, thanks for taking that. Jaime Flores here in California. You had mentioned the window about the virtual auction being about 20 to 45 minutes. So in your experience as auctioneer, how many items can you get through in that time frame, and should we reduce it to a certain number or something in between, like 5 to 10 or no more than 15?
Yeah, in my unexpert opinion, I do want to preface that because I haven't done a lot of these virtual events personally. I'm living vicariously through my friends that have done them in the last week or so, and we have them coming up, but not a lot of practical one-on-one experience actually doing them. But the way I see and the opinion I have on that, it's very limited. You can't do that traditional auction where you get the auctioneer chant and all that. I think it's more about the mission, and that's my personal opinion, but you focus on the mission. So your gala was going to happen. You've already done your videos. You pre-record a message from your executive director just because you can control these things. That 25 to 35 minute window or 25 to 40 minute window is just for lack of attention. So you've got to come out strong with a lot of energy. You're probably not going to have a band. I know Scott's recent event, they had a group that has played, and everybody in that venue knows them. They're kind of part of that event, and they have been for years, but he chose to strategically place them towards the end of the event just in case he went long. But it was more about, here's the mission, here's the opportunity, and focusing on the ask. the ask, the pledge, the raise the paddle, doing that in a live format, and then calling out the names as those donors give. That's kind of your bigger part of your ask, and probably going to raise as much, if not more money than the auction items. But Scott was really creative in the way he sold a few of his auction items. He spoke to them and just let the bidding happen online and announced the winning bidders and kind of did them in lots.
So that fund to
Scott,
need
did I correctly summarize that?
Yeah, definitely. That fund to need part, is obviously a big intricate part of any live auction event these days. And we've done some pretty creative stuff to generate more revenue before we even start that part of it. And now we're really looking at trying to figure out which direction to take this, because we're so dependent on venue type of events for our fundraising, as I'm sure most of you out there are. Yeah, the fund to need, I think, is definitely going to be a great way to go.
I mean, thanks for asking the question. I definitely appreciate you chiming in. If you have questions, just let us know in that chat box, and we'll try to do them. We'd love to have you on that. Scott, did I speak correctly to the way you kind of did that live auction? Are you still with us?
Yes, I am. And yes, you did. The main thing is get the money. Entertainment and all that stuff is great, but get the money.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. All right, Michelle, where are we at?
I'm gonna push back a little bit on something that you guys said.
What?
Because that's what I like to do. I like to be the other hand. I have seen virtual events, and Leanne, my friend who works at the Coronado Schools Foundation, she and I used to work together in that organization, and the telethon format that they have is primarily virtual. And so we had a 4-hour show. It's a 4-hour show. Each block in that situation was dedicated to a different school site, because we were raising money for various schools. And that allowed us to highlight sponsors, invite sponsors to do little PSAs. They did public service announcements from their dentist office, from their business. And so there's your tie-in back to who I see asking questions about how to fulfill sponsorship obligations with our events when they're canceled. Give them an opportunity to have an ad during your virtual event, right? You can do a video with them and then highlight that as part of your event. Also, entertainment. We had kids dancing and singing on the stage. That was all done virtually. It's streamed live. In this case, today you could do it a live Facebook, but certainly you could do a live stream from your website. So there are a lot of options, and it doesn't have to be short, but I think what they're saying is the live auction and the ask, you would keep that around that same amount of time. So you can incorporate an online auction piece. It's really, the technology is there. We just have to get creative about piecing it together.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I was reading some of these questions that are coming in. It says, we haven't sold any tickets to our gala yet in June. Is it appropriate to sell tickets for a virtual event? Absolutely. I think it's absolutely appropriate. And you can potentially, whether you've got the VIP experience, if you're selling a table of 10, you're selling the individual tickets, there's some definite platforms that help you do that and encourage other people to kind of come and join you. Yes, you're not going to do the event, but if you have a table of 10, and depend when your event is. If your event may be another 2 months out, chances are we might be able to congregate in groups of more than 10. And you may choose to have, 5 or 6 friends or your table over to your house, to watch a virtual event, if we're allowed to do that. We're not suggesting that you do it, but if you are allowed, you can do those small pieces to it. But I think you definitely have the opportunity to sell tickets, to sell sponsorships. And Michelle, you've got a couple fun ideas when it talks. I see you raising your hand.
Yeah,
you've got a couple fun ideas on how to do that in totally different and out of the box.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about a gala, because that's what we're trying to replace. That's the biggest fundraiser of my office. And if we have to replace it, how are we going to do that virtually, right? Well, what if they do have a ticket price and they even have a table? But for the ticket, what we do is we send them on the day of the event a little box with a bottle of wine, some cheese and crackers, maybe a little favor, with a branded logo favor. So they open that and it says, see you at 6 o'clock online, and it gives the directions of how to get to the event, right? So that's kind of fun. And then in addition,
how do they do that? How do you get 25, or how do you deliver 100 meals or 100 bottles of wine?
Well, certainly you have to use your volunteer workforce, because you have volunteers, I'm sure. In fact, we had this great conversation, Darren and I did, with an elementary school, elementary, I think K through 12. And she loved this idea, and it was hilarious because she said, "Oh my gosh, that's so great. I'll just have the kids deliver the wine." And both Darren and I said, "Well, maybe not the kids." So anyway, but the good thing is too, we have Uber Eats now, right? We have all of those. So you could even order for people to be delivered. If it's a VIP package, you can deliver a meal even today. It's crazy. So the possibilities are endless, and get creative with that. I agree, sell the tickets. And now you don't have the cost of the hotel. You don't have the cost of the AV. You don't have the rubber chicken. It's almost a win. People can wear like a beautiful gown top and their sweatpants. Kind of fun to think about.
Definitely an opportunity. And the fun part in California, our governor kind of changed some of our local laws. We can call a bar and they'll deliver mixed drinks for us. They can deliver wine to our houses now in alcohol. I think it's just to keep our sanity. So there's definitely, think outside the box. And again, these are things that I think you can put in place now. If you're thinking November, December, hopefully we're kind of back to doing the event. A fun part, Michelle told me not to go down this road, but I'm going. If you're planning your event in September and it's, we don't know what's going to happen. That's a few months out, but maybe plan both. When we talk to clients about planning their outdoor event, so that's great if you want an outdoor event, but you need to plan for rain. It could happen. So what's your backup plan? So now if you're planning a live gala, what's your backup plan? And are you ready to go virtual with it if we're still stuck inside? There are some benefits to the virtual event, and I'm going to use Scott's event because I attended Scott's event. I was able to hear everything, every word he said, every word the executive director said. I learned more about that nonprofit in 30 minutes because I heard everything. There was no bad seat. It was the sound was great, the feed was great, the speed was great. It was awesome. It was an easy to attend event, and I learned about it. And sometimes at our galas, that doesn't happen. If you've got the front row seats up front, but you're in the back and the sound system may be terrible, you really don't hear what's going on, but you're just there because you were invited. Those people that click the button and join your virtual event, they are doing that because they care. So entertain them, have fun with them, make it fun, make it exciting, and be on point and be on mission.
Yeah, so Darren, I know you teased me about not bringing that up, but what I was referring to is early on, I didn't want to blow everyone's brain and saying, you can have a live event and a virtual event. Well, guess what, everybody? Guess what's going to happen is we're going to get smart by having to go through this with trial by fire. And then in the fall, when we are able to have an event, or next year in 2021, we're going to have a virtual component. So the people that want to give and watch the show and watch Darren on the stage do the live auction and participate, that's now going to be a thing. Just like people working from home is going to become a thing, right? So even though big businesses have been pushing off, well, no, I don't want my workforce working from home. They're going to say, wow, I can save a lot of money and I can do this virtual working thing, right? So anyway, I totally agree that that's probably coming down the pipe. And so what better time for us to get ready than right now, right? So I want to answer a couple more of these questions. I see one that's true. There are two.
Did I just jump in?
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, you did just jump in. Perfect.
Well, accidentally I jumped in. I have no clue about how to do this. I tried to do it a minute ago and everything went off the screen. First of all, I had no idea I was as old until Scott mentioned it. And then I saw my picture up here and
yeah, it looks bad.
I guess I am. So, a couple things. One, I have sent out some emails to my clients to let them know that I haven't got the virus yet and I'm still around. And most of them were surprised, I have to tell you. And the other thing I was thinking, I didn't want to jump into this and,
But you did, so go ahead.
I was afraid I'd just be too cheesy. And so my question has to do with something like that. How, is there a way I can get coaching? I mean, right now, I don't know how many people can even see me here. But I mean, the only time I think I'm any good as an auctioneer with my chant is in the shower. And I've only invited a few people into the shower, but.
Come on, Gary, keep it clean.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was clean. It was very, it was very appropriate people. But at any rate, I just, find that this is daunting, and I would love to have a coach. I'd like to have somebody so that when I try this, that I don't come across as cheesy. I might come across cheesy anyway. I mean, I have no clue. This is one of the first times I've ever actually seen myself in this. I have no idea, but I know I'm more comfortable face to face than I am on Facebook, and maybe everybody else is too. But I was wondering,
Gary, you got a face for radio, so you're doing good.
I do. I've been told that before, mostly here at home. In fact, the last couple of days, fairly often. But anyway, coaching.
Yeah, we can get you. I think there's definite opportunities, Gary. I'll call you after. You and I will talk after this. But yeah,
okay.
I think there's some great resources we have just within our network of benefit auctioneers. There's some great groups already going on.
Okay. I'll mute myself now.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
I'd like to speak to what Gary said too, because it's not just you, Gary. It's not just the auctioneer. We have this interesting dynamic that we are forced to be on this Zoom call right now instead of in person. Well, that's all of your donors. That's your development staff. That's your board, right? Everyone's saying, well, how can I convince my board to have a virtual event? Because they're pushing back. They're thinking there's no way we're going to be able to raise enough money. There's just no way we can pull it off. Well, what I would say is invite your board to a little virtual board meeting and walk through this, because Gary, just now, your face up here. In fact, I don't think you're on mute, sir. Let's see. Are you?
Yeah, he's muted.
Okay. So, and having your sweet face up here is reminding us that all of us are new to this. And so we have to do a certain amount of practicing. Darren and I spent an hour this morning from 10 to 11 practicing and looking at our screen to see what was in my room. I just hung that picture right there. Do you like it? But I'm being honest that you do have to practice it, just like you would practice your pitch, just like you would practice an opening, remarks for an event. It does take practice, and it does take a little bit of ingenuity. But the good news is that Darren and I are reaching out to some of our software partners that we work with for various types of technology, and they're working on things for us to make it a lot easier. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Darren, you want to jump in on technology, or is there something you want to answer before we do that?
There are so many technology platforms out there, and I kind of bring this back because some of them are saying they're the experts, and some of them have been doing it for weeks. Some of them have been doing it for years. There are some virtual events that have happened, and there's a lot of crowdfunding softwares that are out there. So just be careful who you partner with, and look at all the rates. Look at all the the individual charges that will start to add up. But we're going to, after this phone call, we're going to try to continue our conversation, and we'll continue to post things as we get them out. Michelle, if she hasn't shared that yet, she's going to share a private Facebook group so we can continue our conversation from today on a Facebook chat. And we're going to try to do these, at least when we're locked in here, we might as well probably try to do a call once a week and maybe bring some other people and kind of bring a larger board together. So it's not just Michelle and I sharing. Again, we're not the experts, but we have a lot of friends that are in the same boat as ours. We want to hear from donors. We want to hear the donor perspective, the fundraiser perspective, the auctioneer perspective. I would actually like to get a venue on the line and kind of get their perspective of how they feel and what they're going to be able to do and how they're going to react. So a lot of fun things to kind of come up in this conversation.
Well, I'll tell you right now about the venues that our venues are going to want us back in their venues.
Competitive pricing.
Someone asked about a venue cancellation policy, and what I would do is I would push back and ask them to extend your contract to 2021 and work with the management, because everyone wants you back. Everyone does. And we've found that most of our contracts, everyone's either letting us out of it outright because of a huge national crisis, let's not forget, but also they're very amenable to us pushing back on dates. So if it's in the fall, if it's 2021, one thing that we have to remember is that if we take all these events that just the 81 of us, if we took all of our events that were going to be happening between January and let's say May 31st, and we try to put them in the fall, well, the fall is booked, right? So we're going to have to get pretty crafty with that too. So just be thinking about that. One thing, Darren, that you just said, I think is really, really important about technology and about seeing hidden fees. And, you kind of alluded to the fact that you really want to do your research. And so we have, some partners that you all work with when you're doing event software. there's Mobile Cause, there's Greater Giving, there's Give Smart, which used to be Gesture. You know, you probably have your favorite. We have somebody who's working from Neon One, their company is, their parent company is Neon One, and they have a few platforms. They're actually creating a virtual gala that sounds like it's going to be really exciting. And so we're going to get some more information on that probably next week. And we'll be happy to share it with you because they're trying to get all of the components in one piece. So that's going to be the little bit of a challenge now, is that doesn't exist.
Yeah, so a piece on the Neon One. They actually are coming at this from a different perspective. They've been doing live virtual events, live virtual 5Ks and runs, and horse racing. I mean, a lot of different virtual type of events. Now they're doing, you know, happy hour fundraisers. They're doing a lot of different things. But what they use is different from most, is they use a gaming platform. Live games. So if you're into gaming and you know the games where you jump on and you're playing with people all over the world, they're creating that virtual piece, just kind of like being inside of a game. So it's extremely intuitive. It's really quick. The platform is there. They aren't starting from scratch. They're just kind of taking the game piece out and making that a virtual event. It can be a virtual concert. There's a lot of opportunities, and they say it should be ready. I mean, they're just kind of merging pieces, but it should probably be ready by the end of next week, where we can have some live pieces to use with their platform.
Yeah,
so that'll be kind of something fun. And it's crazy inexpensive. It's not a big deal. When I say inexpensive, it's under $2,500, you know, for the whole package piece altogether. So it's not outlandish, and it's going to be the virtual event. It's going to be the funding, the money exchange. All of that will be built into one format.
All right, so we're going to dive into pain points, Darren. I'm going to throw a couple out there, and then you can hit up, and then if I think that I'm the better person to answer it, then I will hit it up. So let's see, here we go. Creating a sense of community for org mission without an event.
Creating a sense of community for the board mission.
No, for organization's mission. So creating a sense of community for our organization's mission without hosting an event. How are we going to be creating this sense of community without having the annual event?
Wow.
I'll start and then you chime in. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things that I talked to somebody recently about, and they had to cancel their event as well, and we were kind of licking our wounds about it, is that we were saying that the fan base is there. I think also you mentioned it, Darren, Leanne, I think you mentioned it. You have a community already. We have people who've been attending events. We have patients and their families. We have people that are fans of the pets, and they've been donors for 5 years, and they give lovingly every season, right? They're your community, and they're not going away just because this happened. In fact, they're sitting in their chairs with nothing to do. So I would say that by creating a sense of community, maybe what you do is you invite them to a little virtual happy hour, like Darren said, and maybe you put together a video of some of the good that they have done. What's some of the impact you're having as an organization in 2019? Share a little fun story. You know, we talk a lot about storytelling. Darren, how about something around that?
Yeah, storytelling is part of your mission, and that's going to be a part of every event. But creating that community, you may be creating that community. It may not be a fundraiser. It's just getting everybody together, getting them back in the room. You know, I talked earlier about that opportunity with like a dueling piano and a musician who's playing music. You know, we did that, and it was a Facebook live event, but you saw all your friends on there, and you started having all these individual chats. That's our normal right now. It's not normal, but that's our reality right now. This is what we have to do. We can't go out. We can't go out and hug our friends. We have to do it socially. And the cool part is the technology's there, and use those things. Not necessarily, you don't have to raise money every time you do an event. I know that sounds crazy because I'm a fundraiser and I like to. And I know I've got a couple clients on this call that think I always just want money. And Kim, I'm talking about you. But we don't have to. We can actually just have fun and bring everybody together. You know, throwing a party like that where if it's a piano party or a concert and somebody's playing, a band group's playing, just get everybody together and keep those chats. Keep the communication open. Happy hours are huge right now.
Yeah. Next question. Our biggest challenges center around the unresponsiveness or unwillingness to commit on the part of our sponsors, donors, and event talent. Mike, do you want to speak to this a little bit, Mike Brewer?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, it took me a minute to get to the mute button. Yeah, for our
Mike, we lost you, Mike.
All right, you're cutting out. If we couldn't hear you, are you here, Mike?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Okay, we'll see if he comes back.
All right.
Keep an eye out for that cat. All right. Next, it combines sponsorship, and I'll go ahead and speak to that. And Darren, I want you to chime in here because I know you saw Scott's performance, and maybe you can tell us how the sponsors were acknowledged there, because one of our concerns is reassuring sponsors that they'll still receive value.
Yeah, Scott, are you online still? You want to field that one? Scott? He may have hit the mute button or taken a break, but he actually did a great job at acknowledging the sponsorships. They, he just kind of read them out and said this wouldn't happen without these sponsors, and kind of gave them the props. I think they had a small studio audience, and one or two of them may have been in that studio, but I don't want to speak to that because I wasn't there. But he did a great job at bringing up the sponsors. And there's technology now that's there. It wasn't used last week in his event, but with the telethon, that whole live event, you can actually scroll banners across the bottom of the feed, whether it's a YouTube feed, a Facebook group feed. You can feed those banners right across the bottom of the screen and give props to your sponsors. The cool part about the virtual events is his event was last Thursday. You can watch it today. You can watch it over the weekend. You can watch it anytime. So it lives on past the event date. Yes, there's a few of the giving opportunities and live auction items that won't be there, but the organizations can still click the button and donate money. That stays open, until the organization decides it doesn't. So there's people that can still watch that, get the message, and see the event, even though they weren't able to attend at 6 p.m. live.
Okay, I see a question on here that says when to make the decision to cancel. So my quick answer to that is it's all about ROI. So when you think you're going to lose more money by canceling than hosting the event, then you cancel, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So for instance, if I have a hotel contract and I have 45 days prior to the event to cancel with no penalty or a little penalty, then I wait until 45 days before that to convert it, to postpone it, or to cancel it. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, something that came up, Suzanne from Orange County just talked about going back to the last question. She said when you do your thank you letters, you can also include all your sponsors as well. Suzanne, I think that's a great point. Any communication you can put out there, including your sponsors, and is a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
so win for you, it's a win for them, and that's why they do it.
Yeah, use Facebook to be thanking them right now, even last year's sponsors. Yep, good stuff. All right, the next one is nervous about our older audience if we move to a virtual event. Case in point, Darren's mom.
3 days, I've still been trying to teach her how to get on Zoom. We've had the conversation one-on-one with Zoom, and she calls me today and said, my sound doesn't work. Like, I think it might be your friend's sound, because now she's trying to venture into, let me invite all my friends over. So it's a challenge. It really is. But you've got to be patient. My family, my wife and daughter say, Dad, you're being really mean. I went through a half a bottle of gin on my first phone call trying to stay sane. It's challenging. So yes, you've got to practice. But for my mom, Facebook was a challenge. And Jimmy, don't be telling her this. Christine, you can't either do it either. Don't rat me out. But there's other formats. With Scott's event, they hosted it on YouTube. Anybody can log into that. They can see the event. So just, when you're thinking about that, try to make it easy. Maybe it's going to be harder on you to collect the money, but really think about the donor. How easy is it for them to make that gift? If they just want to respond in the chat bar, we would love to donate $50,000 or $50. Just make it easy, and then you're going to have to go the extra step to track them down from that post that they put in the chat bar and collect that gift. But make it easy for them. Think of all try not to confuse them, because I get confused as well. It's really hard.
I was going to say test, test, test. Yep.
Yeah, and then test again one more time.
That's right.
So Michelle, we're running out of time. We got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, so we're going to do questions by fire now. So you can't talk more than 30 seconds. I'm timing you for each one of these. Are you ready? Here we go.
Anybody got a question we haven't addressed yet?
So,
Just kind of call out your name and we'll go for it. See how crazy this gets.
all right. How to gain momentum and support from the community with a mission that's not widely favorable or familiar by the community. So what if you have a pretty new organization, Darren, and you're new in town and you haven't really got the word out, you don't have a big long guest list. How are you going to spread the word and get any momentum at all to stay afloat?
Wow, challenging times. It's not impossible. What's your why? Tell your story. Share people why you started this organization. Get that message out. Social media is your friend right now. You know, post your own, you know, whether it's your Instagram or on your Facebook page, tell your story. Make it about, you know, why you care so much about this organization, and then start to get friends to share that. You have to get the word out. Right now, you can't go out and hang posters and invite everybody to come over to your place, but you have to do it socially. And the technology is so in your favor. People with crazy ideas, they post a video on YouTube and it goes viral. Viral is a bad word to use anymore for that, because if I think of that, I think of COVID. But it gets the word out. So be compelling in your story. Keep it short, 30 seconds. Don't go long-winded. Michelle, yeah. I see you raising your hand.
Use your free resources. Use email, use social media, use those type of marketing tools that are available to you. I totally agree. Storytelling. This is a really good resource for you all. Darren and I love this book called
Stories That Stick.
Stories That Stick.
Stories That Stick. It is an awesome resource for you. It's a great book. It's under $20. It's called Stories That Stick. I think it's Kendra Hall is the author, and it's an amazing book. It breaks down the founder story, the donor story, every story, not just that you need them, but how to do it, and kind of all the elements. Every one of us, we're down to 71 people, but every one of you has a story. It's your story, and she's going to walk you through the steps on how to tell that story. And when you do that, it's from the heart. It's real. You're not reading a script. Scripts get boring. People don't like that. Be real. Be transparent. Be open. Be honest. Just be out there. Be bold and be courageous. You can do it. And she walks you through the steps how to do it. Great book.
Okay. Judy has a great question that we're all thinking about right now. And we're worrying about the effect of the financial market downturn on giving. So some of our major donors who have been giving stock gifts and gifts year over year, now the squeeze of the market might not allow the purse strings to be so loose. So what are we, is it still okay to ask? So Darren, I'm going to let you answer it and see if we have the same answer, because I have an answer too.
Yeah. Is it still okay to ask? I think absolutely. We're adults. And all they have to do is say no. We're as fundraisers, we're used to hearing no again all the time. I mean, not all the time, but most of the time we hear no. But let the donor make the choice. Don't just assume that the stock market's down and they aren't going to give to your organization anymore. They may be on the other side of it. They may have invested in Zoom and they're doing great because their stock price is up. So don't make assumptions. Let them tell you no, or no, it's just not the right time now. I'm a huge fan of yes. I think you should ask and give your donor the choice, your financial contributor, the opportunity to say yes or no. Don't make the decision for them.
Yep, I would agree. And I think something Suzanne said, which is right along the same lines, is that people still want to help. In fact, they feel like they want to help more right now than maybe other times. And so give them the opportunity, and they're in charge of them. They'll make a donation if they can, and they won't if they can't. And hopefully they will down the road when they can again. I would agree. This is a good one too. Keeping our employees, dancers paid while we are not able to sell tickets to performances. Our fundraisers are needed because ticket sales only cover a portion of our events.
Okay, I got an answer for this. It's not an answer, it's an opportunity. So just before our call today, the government passed that $2 trillion stimulus. There is a provision in that stimulus that benefits any nonprofit with under 500 employees. Get online. If you need the resource, I can send you the link, but I'm sure it's on all the news networks now. But Desert Charity News out of Palm Springs, they just posted the link and he shared it with me this morning, that there's a provision in there where the small business loan that you apply for as your nonprofit, if used correctly, and if it's used for payroll, it's used for services, it's used for rent, it's used for debt service, there are provisions within that opportunity. If you use it for all those things, it's kind of like a stimulus grant. Could be potentially free money where they waive the loan. Read the details. I don't want to overstep my skis on this one, but read the details in there. But there is a resource that is available. And I think the maximum limit for any one nonprofit is $10 million. So that should probably cover most of you. But the resource is there. Get involved, get online, research it, look it up, and apply now, because those funds are available for these nonprofits. Because there's so many nonprofits that unfortunately are going to fold because of this. And I'm sorry to see that happen. But there's a huge window of really not a lot of things going. So take that step, be active, be aggressive. Y'all can do it because you're all great fundraisers.
Yeah, so with that, I'm going to wrap it up. And I see there are a few things that we left out, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this group chat and I'm going to post it on our Facebook group. It's a private group, and we'll let you in if you guys want to join us. I put the link in the chat, and we're going to keep the conversation going. There's lots to be chatted about. If
So
you're an
big shout
auctioneer,
out to Freddie. Freddie's another benefit auctioneer out of Northern California. He posted the link to the nonprofit, the federal laws on the lending. So if you look down in the notes, shout out to Freddie. Thanks for doing that.
yes. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take risks. We're all in this together, and ask questions, ask for help. And speaking of which, if you stuck around to this long, then we are offering a 30-minute virtual strategy session for people. And all you have to do is put your email address in the group chat. Just say, make sure I'm in the drawing. And we're going to do
Michelle,
5.
we have a link for that, don't we?
Yeah, yes, I think I have.
Yeah, we've got a link for that. You can go in and kind of fill it out. And the first 5 that we get in, those are the first 5 that we're going to do.
Yes.
So fill that link out. Michelle's going to post that link. Again, don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page to continue the conversation. It's Eventology Fundraising. There's a link in the chat bar. Look us up, reach out to us, call us with questions. I thank all of you, especially I want a big shout out to all my clients that are on the phone. I really appreciate you giving us this time. To all of my fellow auctioneers. I saw Karen Sorbo, Suzanne, I saw Scott, I saw Freddie, I saw Gary Corbett. He's not the pretty one, but he's there. And I'm sure I've missed a few, because at one point we were almost at 100 people on the call. Joe Lockhart, I know you're in there as well. So thank you all for joining us on this, and let's continue the chat. We're going to learn from each other, and we're going to figure this out together.
Yes, we are. And you guys also, I don't have the link handy because I don't want to leave you and put it in the right place. So I'll follow up with the email so everybody has it. But we're going to choose 5 people to do 40-minute strategy sessions for your event, specific to you. So we're happy to help. We're here for you. Keep the conversation going. And thanks so much for joining us. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, Gary.
Woo, woo. Keep up the good work. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you.